We have a major development in the escalating fight between Donald Trump and the Wall Street Journal. Its parent company Dow Jones, the report Murdoch. This stems from a journal article published yesterday which claimed to have uncovered a letter Trump allegedly wrote to Jeffrey Epstein for his fifth birthday. Can you walk us through the latest? Yes, Donald Trump has just filed a sweeping defamation lawsuit in southern Florida. It includes two counts of defamation, and this time it's not just a post on social media. He is take legal action formally asserting that the letter in question is fake. The letter in question is fake. Trump claimed that the Wall Street Journal either knew it was inauthentic or acted with reckless disregard for the truth when publishing it. At the heart of the lawsuit is the allegation that the journal published the fabricated letter, a birthday message to Epstein featuring a drawing of a nude woman that Trump insists he never wrote. Now, Adam, presumably, the Wall Street Journal and the story authors anticipated legal pushback. After all, they include Trump's threat to sue within the very article that now be challenged in the court. Would not that suggest they took extra care to verify the material? Knowing how litigious Trump can be, what does that indicate about the strength of Trump's lawsuit? Or conversely, the potential credibility and the legal preparedness behind the journal's reporting. The Wall Street has a strong track record of accurate reporting. In fact, the very reason Donald Trump was convicted on 34 felony counts stemmed from a journal investigation. The original scope about the hush money payment to Stormy Daniel, that story was alright. When it comes to the latest piece, it's important to note that the article is not solely about Trump. Its detail is a collection of letters received by Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday. Of all the individuals mentioned, only Trump has publicly challenged the authenticity of this letter. Other recipients were conducted for comment and notability. Billionaire Les Wexner and Epson, former attorney Adam, and not dispute the authenticity of their letter. Neither the FBI nor the Department of Justice, but for a national outlet like the Wall Street Journal, especially under the threat of high profile lawsuit, you can be sure the story was thoroughly vetted. It likely went through multiple levels of editorial review and legal scrutiny before publication. And one thing the lawsuit gets right, the journal was absolutely on notice. They directly quoted Trump, who not only said the letter was fake but also threatened to show if the piece was published. So, yes, they knew litigation was likely and still moved forward, suggesting they were confident in sourcing and attribution. And importantly, the Wall Street Journal did inform its readers that Donald Trump, despite the authenticity of the document in question, as part of their due diligence, they reached out to other individuals listed as having sent letter to Epson for comment. That transparency is significant. If report Murdoch Wall Street Journal, along with its full editorial and legal term, reviewed everything and still decided to publish, that reflects a high degree of confidence in their reporting. And now the matter is headed to court. Of course, a lot can happen between now and then, but let's imagine this goes to trial. Will there be a definitive moment where we learn the truth? Will the document be produced and their authenticity confirmed or debunked? That's the inherent risk of Trump's filing this lawsuit. A lawsuit is not just a tweet or a truth social post. There's discovery process. During that phase, documents will be produced. One of Trump's claims is that the journals did not attach the letter to the story, but chances are that very letter and the nude sketch reportedly bearing his name stylized to resemble public hair as described in article will emerge. If the case move forward, we could see expert testimony analyzing handwriting and authorship with evidence presented both for against the claim that Trump authored it. These are the questions that would need to be resolved court if Trump want to prevail. And even then, hypothetically speaking, even if the Wall Street Journal did get it wrong and the letter turned out to be fake, that alone does not automatically mean Trump win his case. Trump will need to prove that the Wall Street Journal had no reasonable basis to believe the letter was authentic when it published the story. That's the bar set by the actual malaise standard in defamation lawsuit. It's not enough to simplify as the letter was fake. He must show the journal acted recklessly and acknowledge he published false information. That's steep hill to climb. Now, it's true that Trump has successfully pressured major media outlets in the past. We have seen examples such as CBS and Paramount backing down over the edited Kamala Harris interview, or ABC News quietly correcting a misattribution involving a federal judgment and jury. These are cases where legal experts largely agreed the outlets had exposure. In those instances, even large news organizations choose to settle or retreat, likely due to external pressure, like Paramount's pending merger with Skydance and concern about regulatory security. So, there are a couple of paths this new lawsuit could take. On possibility, it survive a motion to dismiss and move forward. If that happens, the discovery process may force the production of the original letter, possibly entering into the public court record. We could see handwriting expert testify offering insight into its authenticity. In short, by filing this lawsuit, Trump has invited a legal process and could expose new detail, whether they help or hurt him. And you mentioned earlier that the Wall Street Journal has a strong track record for factual accuracy. But what about Trump's track record when it comes to defamation suits? We have seen him launching legal action against media companies before with mixed results. However, when the stakes are high and external factors like mergers, government oversights, or FCC influence come into play, even media giants may choose to avoid a prolonged fight. So, if ABC News is a part of Disney and Disney is pressing a merge that needs FCC approval, they may have vested interest in avoiding conflict, and that could explain why they had choose to settle or back down. But that does not appear to be case here. If the Wall Street Journal was worried about potentially litigation, they likely would not have published the piece in the first place. The fact that they move forward suggests they are prepared to stand by their reporting and fight in this in court. Now, when it comes to Trump track record with defamation suits, especially against non-media identities, it's mixed at best. As you noted earlier, he's been known to use litigation as a form of pressure. For example, the previously filed a sweeping racketeering lawsuit against Hillary Clinton in federal court in Florida. That case was ultimately dismissed, and the Trump was sanctioned for filing what the court deemed a frivolous claim. While the particular case was in the Middle District of Florida, it still reflects his broader legal strategy. Use lawsuits as leverage to force defamants into submission, and sometimes that works. It worked with Paramount and worked with ABC News. But this case is different. It goes to trial. Trump will need to meet the legal threshold for defamation. He will have to prove first that the information published was false, and the second that the Wall Street Journal knew it was false or act with reckless disregard for the truth. That's the actual malice standard. He will also need to overcome the journal's due diligence, such as their effort to verify the letter authenticity and seek comment for others' name in the story. Ultimately, this lawsuit is a gamble. Trump is betting that the pressure of litigation will push the Murdoch empire to fold, but if it does not, he will need to win on the facts and the law in a courtroom under scrutiny. But again, if Trump's goal was simply to pressure the Wall Street Journal into back down, it does not make sense that they would have published the article at all if they were included to K. They clearly know a lawsuit was coming. They even referenced Trump legal threats in the piece. So if they were going to play it safe, they would not have run the story. That suggests that are stand firm, and it means Trump may not have an easy path to getting this throughout dismissed or quietly settled. Now, I want to ask you something based on your extensive coverage of Trump's previous defamation case, particularly the EJN Carroll Trail. Do you see any striking similarity between how Trump handled the case and how he is approaching this one with the Wall Street Journal? Well, yes, I was in courtroom every day during the E. Jane Carroll case, and what stood out to me in Trump's response to the Wall Street Journal was how emphatically he denied the drunk. He said, I have never written or drank in my life. That immediately reminded me of his earlier defense in the Carroll case when he claimed, I have never met her. Of course, at trial, the jury was shown a photograph of Trump with E. Jean Carroll and their respective partner at social event, clearly disproving that claim. There's a pattern with Trump. He does not just deny the allegation, he goes out of his way to make the absolutely claim that can be factually refused. In this case, despite saying he's never drunk, there are well known examples of this drink, like those sketches of the New York City skyline he signed and donated to charity. They have circulated widely online. So, again, it's an other instance of Trump issuing a sweeping denial that could be contradicted by concrete visible evidence. I think if this case ever reaches in a jury, that pattern of behavior could definitely be considered. It was a key factor in the E.J. and Carroll case, and something similar may play out here. Trump denial, saying he's never done a drag, could be when against widely available evidence showing that he has. If the Wall Street Journal was aware of that, and if the only person disputing the authenticity of the document is Trump, while others mentioned in the story have not refuted their letter, then the journal likely felt justified in moving forward with publications. Honestly, I am a bit surprised Trump followed through with his lawsuit at all. I would have assumed the Wall Street Journal would not have published the piece unless they were absolutely sure they had done the proper due diligence. No news organization want to be sued, especially not by someone was notoriously litigious as Donald Trump. So it stands to reason that their reporting is thoroughly sourced and legally vetted. Now that Trump's team has filed the lawsuit, does that automatically means it headed for trial? Not necessarily. Just because a suit is filed does not guarantee it will play out in the court. There's always a chance they will withdraw it or try to reach settlement or some kind of deal behind the scene. They said, "We have seen this play out before." Earlier on in the ABC News lawsuit, it looked like that the case might go the distance too, but ultimately it did not. So there's often a difference between the Trump's threats and his follows through. Personally, I did not believe he would actually go through with this suit until I saw it officially filed. Remember when the New York Times published that bombshell story accusing him of fraud right in the lead? Trump threatened legal action but never failed anything. They accused Trump of tax fraud related to his inheritance, a deeply reported piece that presumably went through the New York Times entire legal team. Yet he never sued them. So while Trump often threatens legal action against the media and does field a number of lawsuits, he also backs down from many of those threats. Anything can happen with this latest case. What's clear is that Trump is escalating his legal war against major news outlets, and this move marks a direct confrontation with Rupert Murdoch. We will have to wait and see if the Wall Street Journal continue to stand by its reporting as firmly as it has so far.